Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, when you hear the word moonshot, what comes to mind? Big dreams, maybe huge risks, or just those massive potential gains.
It definitely evokes something ambitious, doesn't it? But that name, Moonshot, it's popping up in a few different places, especially in crypto, and it can get confusing.
Exactly. So today, that's what we're diving into. We're going to unpack two different things. The Moonshot app and the company behind it, Buy Moonshots, Inc.
Right. The goal here is really to clarify what each one actually is, what they offer, and crucially, help you avoid some common mix-ups, especially if you're thinking about investing.
Okay, so let's start with the app itself, the Moonshot app. It's presented as, well, a mobile app for buying and selling meme coins, specifically on the Solana blockchain.
Yeah, they really seem to be targeting that user-friendliness angle, trying to make crypto, which can be pretty intimidating, feel a bit more accessible.
So is it just marketing spin, or is there something genuinely easier about it? What are the nuts and bolts there?
Well, I think where it does make a difference, genuinely, is getting money in. The whole cash to crypto thing can be a real roadblock for people.
Okay. The on-ramping.
Exactly. They seem to have focused on making deposits and withdrawals, smoother.
Right. They say you can convert cash to meme coins pretty quickly, like minutes. And they list payment methods like credit cards, debit cards, Apple Pay, bank transfers.
Yeah, the standard stuff, but integrated in a way that feels easy. For someone just dipping their toes in, that's a big barrier removed, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Clearing that first hurdle is huge. So once you're in, what does the app actually do?
Okay, so once you've got funds in, it's set up for discovery and trading. It basically acts as a platform to find trending meme coins, see real-time charts, that kind of thing.
Like a feed for what's hot in the Solana meme coin world?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
It gives you that pulse. But here's a really important feature, something everyone in crypto should understand. It's a self-custodial wallet.
Okay, self-custodial. Let's unpack that because it's crucial.
Yeah.
This means you control your funds, right? Not the app company.
Precisely. This is different from, say, leaving your crypto on a big centralized exchange. With a self-custodial wallet like this app provides, you hold the private keys.
Meaning only you can access your assets. The app developers can't touch them, and if the company goes bust, your crypto isn't necessarily lost with it.
Exactly. It puts the security, responsibility, and the control firmly in your hands. That's a core principle of decentralization, really. The app facilitates, it doesn't hold.
So it's not like a bank account where the bank holds your money. It's more like they give you a very specific key to your own secure box on the blockchain.
That's a good analogy. And how it works is by being an interface. It's like a visual front end for decentralized exchanges, or DXs, operating on the Solana network.
So when you trade, you're swapping directly on the blockchain with other users via these DEXs. The app is just the tool you use to initiate that.
That's it, exactly. It's not a middleman in the traditional sense. It's a window onto the blockchain, facilitating those peer-to-peer swaps directly. It promotes that on-chain transparency.
Okay, transparency and control. But that comes with some pretty big warnings, doesn't it? The app itself makes some key disclaimers.
Oh, absolutely. And people really need to pay attention to these. They explicitly state they are not an exchange.
What's the significance of that distinction, not an exchange?
Well, it signals they don't operate under the same kind of regulatory framework or, potentially, the same liability structure as a licensed exchange. And importantly, they also say they provide no investment advice.
Right, so they give you the tools, but what you do with them is entirely on you. They aren't recommending anything.
Exactly. You are solely responsible for your decisions and your trades. And that links directly to the assets they focus on, meme coins.
Which the app itself warns are, and I quote, highly speculative and volatile. What does that really mean for someone using the app?
It means these things can swing wildly in price, often based on, social media hype or sentiment, not necessarily any underlying value or utility. It's driven by trends.
So huge gains are possible, but
huge losses are just as possible, if not more likely for many. The app is very clear. You should be prepared to potentially lose your entire investment. That's not just a theoretical risk in the meme coin world. It happens all the time.
Okay, so extreme caution is needed if you're using the app. Tread very carefully.
Definitely. It's not for the risk averse.
All right, so that's the Moonshot app, an easy-to-use self-custodial wallet and DEX interface for Solana meme coins, but with significant risks attached. Now let's pivot to the company behind the app, Buy Moonshots, Inc.
Right, the corporate entity.
Hmm.
This is described as a privately held company aiming to build innovative crypto solutions focused on Solana.
And this brings us to a question we hear a lot. Can I buy stock in and buy Moonshots, Inc.? Can the average person invest in the company itself?
That's a very common question, and the straightforward answer for most people is no.
Because it's privately held.
Exactly. Its shares aren't traded on public markets like the New York Stock Exchange or the NASDAQ. Ownership is usually limited to, say, the founders, maybe some employees through stock options, venture capital firms who funded them early on, and other private investors.
So you can't just log into your brokerage account and buy shares of Buy Moonshots, Inc. like you could with, say, Apple or Google.
Nope. It's not accessible in that way.
Yeah.
Which naturally leads to confusion when people do see things with Moonshot in the name floating around in the investment space.
Right, because if it's not this company, what are those other Moonshot things people might encounter? This is where it gets tricky.
It really does. Okay, so one example you might come across is a company called Moonshot AI.
Moonshot AI. Sounds similar, future focused.
Yeah, but it's a totally separate company, also privately held. Now, sometimes pre-IPO shares in private companies like Moonshot AI might become available on specialized platforms.
But that's usually only for accredited investors, right? People meeting certain high income or net worth thresholds.
Correct. And most importantly, even if you could invest in Moonshot AI, it has absolutely no connection to Buy Moonshots, Inc. Different company, different business.
Okay, so Moonshot AI is one potential point of confusion. What else is out there?
Another one that frequently causes mix-ups is something called the Direction Moonshot Innovators ETF. You'll see it trading publicly under the ticker symbol MOON.
Moon. Okay, that sounds very relevant. It's on the NYSE, you said. So you can buy this one.
Yes, you can buy shares of MOON, but, and this is the critical part, it is not stock in the company Buy Moonshots, Inc.
Explain that distinction. What is an ETF like Moon?
Okay, so an ETF, an exchange-traded fund, is basically a basket of investments. It holds shares in multiple companies. The Moon ETF specifically invests in a collection of companies that the fund manager believes are moonshot innovators.
So companies with potentially disruptive tech, high growth potential, that sort of thing.
Exactly. So Moon uses the moonshot theme to describe the types of companies it invests in. But owning shares of the Moon ETF means you own a tiny piece of all the companies in that basket. It does not mean you own shares of the specific private company, Buy Moonshots, Inc.
Got it. It's like buying a tech innovators fund doesn't mean you own stock in every single startup, just the ones the fund holds. And it definitely doesn't mean you own stock in the fund management company itself, unless that company is also publicly traded separately.
Precisely. Moon invests in innovators. It is not the stock of Buy Moonshots, Inc. Completely different things, despite the name overlap.
Okay, so wrapping this up, what's the main takeaway for you, our listener, after navigating all this?
I think the core thing is understanding the huge difference between, one, using a specific crypto app like the Moonshot app for trading highly speculative assets, and two, the completely separate idea of investing in the actual company that built the app.
And the critical need to look beyond just the name, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Especially in tech and finance. Names can sound alike, concepts can sound alike, but the underlying investment, the risk profile, the opportunity, they can be worlds apart. You have to do your homework and know exactly what you're dealing with.
It really highlights the need for critical thinking. Given how appealing these moonshot ideas are, and how easy it is for names and concepts to blur together online, well, what does this tell us about navigating information today, especially when money's on the line?
Yeah, it really underscores the importance of digging deeper than the surface level, doesn't it? Verifying claims, understanding the structure of what you're engaging with, whether it's an app or an investment. What really stands out to you about making these kinds of distinctions clearly, something to chew on.